The phone screen lit up. It was 11 at night and Connor still wasn't home. I stared at his tablet. The transfer records were hideous. 67 transactions. $200,000 in total. All sent to Lindsay. It had taken me 3 months to dig into this woman's background. She was married. Her birthday was the same as Connor's, April 15th. I sent Lindsay a single text. Just 8 words. The next morning, Connor answered a call and turned pale. Lindsay had cleared out overnight. No one could reach her again. The message was simple. Happy birthday, Connor. Before we go on, subscribe to this channel and tell us in the comments where you're listening from. Connor's phone lay face down on the table. He'd kept that habit for 3 years now. I sat on the couch. Daisy was asleep. The only sound was the television droning a drama I wasn't paying attention to. Then the phone rang. Connor's. The screen flickered to life with a pop-up. Tomorrow. Miss you. Sender, Lindsay. I stared at the name for a long time. The screen dimmed, and the living room fell silent again. The drama played on, the heroine sobbing that she'd been duped. I turned off the TV. Connor's phone stayed put. I picked it up and typed in the passcode, my birthday. It unlocked. Inside WhatsApp, Lindsay had flooded his inbox. The newest message was that miss you. I scrolled through lines of cloying sweet talk. And then I saw it. When will you divorce? Connor had replied, soon. My hand trembled. Further up, you said 2 years, it's already 3. His response, I know, just a little longer. 3 years. We'd been married 5. Daisy was 3. He'd started cheating the day she was born. I set the phone down and walked to the bedroom. Daisy slept soundly, her little fists curled in the quilt. I stood there for a long while. Back in the living room, the phone lay face down again. I didn't scream, didn't confront him. I simply placed it exactly as I'd found it. Screen pressed against the wood. Then I sat, opened my own phone, and typed, how to retrieve deleted WhatsApp messages. I said nothing to anyone. The next morning, Connor slept in. I'd already dropped Daisy off at Sunnybrook Preschool. When I got home, he was just getting up, brushing his teeth. Morning, he said. Morning, I replied, my tone the same as always. He exhaled and went to the kitchen for water. I tidied the living room, glancing at his tablet, a work device with no passcode. I opened it, signed into his WhatsApp, and the chat synced. I scrolled slowly. He and Lindsay had been talking for 3 years. At first, she'd claimed to be single, stressed about work, in need of company. Connor had consoled her, cared for her, then crossed every line. I kept scrolling and saw the transfers. First $5,000 with the note, living expenses, second $8,000 labeled, medical bill, third $15,000 marked rent. I counted 67 transfers, $200,000 total. My monthly allowance was $2,000. My own salary was $300,000 a year, most of it eaten up by the mortgage, Daisy's needs, and groceries. Connor had said his pay was modest after the mortgage, that he couldn't spare much. I'd believed him. Now I knew, every extra dollar had gone to Lindsay. I took screenshots, airdropped them to my phone, then wiped the history and closed the tablet. Connor reappeared. Busy day at work. Heading out. Sure. He pocketed his phone and wallet and left. The door clicked shut and I sat on the couch. Those screenshots glowed like fresh cuts. 67 transfers. $200,000. My $2,000 a month. I laughed, a sharp, hollow sound. Then I texted Maya, free, need to talk, on my computer. The 67 transfer records waited. Rain lashed the windows outside. Maya and I met at a cafe in downtown San Francisco. She took one look at me and said, you okay? I'm fine, I said as I sat down. Really? I handed her my phone, and she swiped through every screenshot. A long silence followed. So what now? She asked. Divorce, I said. How do we split assets? I'm mapping every dollar he moved. Then he walks away with nothing. Maya studied me. You've changed. Yeah. Once, I would have cried, screamed, begged. Now I gathered receipts, balanced ledgers, and planned my exit. Need help? She asked. Get me a private investigator. To tail who? Lindsay. She blinked. Why? I want to know what kind of woman she is. And then, we'll see. Maya sighed. Fine, I'll set it up. I sipped my black coffee, watching the downpour. Everyone on the street was running for cover. 3 years ago, it had rained just like this. Connor had claimed he was working late, come home soaked to the bone. I'd brewed him ginger tea and asked why he hadn't taken an Uber. He'd said, saving money. Now I knew, those savings had been for her. Sienna, Maya said. You sure you want this? I'm sure. She nodded. Then I've got your back. I smiled. When I walked out of the cafe, the rain was still falling. I didn't open my umbrella. I walked to my car, soaked to the skin, but I wasn't cold. For the first time in years, I felt like I could finally do something. I gave myself a deadline, 1 month. In 1 month, I would gather every piece of evidence. documents, investigate Lindsay's background, and file for divorce. No tears, no begging, no chance for Connor to talk me out of it. The private investigator Maya recommended was named Wade Bishop, in his mid-40s, with a steady gaze that looked dependable. What do you want investigated? Wade asked. Lindsay, 28, works at Technova Solutions. I sent him her photo. I want to know her full background, such as whether she's really single. Wade studied the photo. How long? A week. Cost? Name it. He thought for a moment. $10,000. Done. I transferred the deposit. Wade pocketed his phone. I'll have news in a week. Thank you. After he left, I sat in the cafe and ordered another black coffee. It was bitter, but I drank it slowly. Outside the window, the street bustled. Some people walked hand in hand. Others hurried alone. I remembered what Connor had once said on our wedding day. I love you. Back then, I'd believed him. Now I realized those words had been cheap. My phone buzzed. It was Connor, working late tonight. Won't be home for dinner. I replied, okay, placed the phone on the table, and kept drinking. The coffee went cold, but I didn't mind. I was only thinking, in a week, what would Wade tell me? Was Lindsay really single? Or had she lied to Connor too? I didn't know, but I needed to find out. When I left the cafe, it was already dark. I drove home through heavy traffic. At a red light, I stared at the long line of cars ahead. Every car held someone with a story, but no one knew mine. I smiled. In a week, I would know the truth. A week later, Wade messaged me, let's meet. We chose the same cafe. Wade brought a manila folder and handed it over. The intel you asked for. I opened it. Inside were photos, printed chat logs, and a written report. I started with the photos. Lindsay at the gate of Maplewood Apartments in San Jose, talking to a man, the two of them entering the complex together. Lindsay pushing a shopping cart in a Safeway. The man beside her. The pair laughing at a restaurant. I turned to the report. Lindsay, 28, married to Zach Carter, 30, software engineer at Silicon Valley Systems, wed 2 years, reside at Maplewood Apartments in San Jose, married. I stared at that word for a long time. You're sure? I asked. Positive. Wade nodded. I checked the Santa Clara County records and tailed her for a week. She lives with Zach. It's a normal domestic life. Does Connor know she's married? No idea. Wade shook his head. Lindsay is careful. Daytime dates with Connor, nights at home with Zach. I laughed. Interesting. What's your next move? One more thing. Connor's birthday. Wade blinked, then nodded. All right. 2 days later, he texted April 15th. I saved the date, then opened Connor's chat history with Lindsay. Lindsay, I'm single. No one cares for me. Connor, I care. Lindsay, when will you divorce? Connor, soon. I took screenshots, switched off the phone, and leaned back on the sofa. 67 transfers. $200,000. Lindsay was married. Connor had been conned, but I didn't pity him, because he'd been conning me. He'd given Lindsay $200,000, and me $2,000 a month. The phone rang. Connor, hello? Coming home for dinner tonight? He asked. Yes, I said. And we need to talk. About what? You'll see. I hung up and went to the kitchen. There were still groceries in the fridge. I planned to make Connor's favorite dishes. His last supper. Wade had mentioned he had a major discovery, but I already had all I needed. That evening, Connor arrived right on time. He seemed upbeat, even brought a bag of organic apples. Where's Daisy? He asked. In her room doing homework. What are we having? Your favorites. Connor washed his hands and came to help in the kitchen. He chopped vegetables. I stir-fried. The scene looked cozy, like something out of a family movie. If I didn't know the truth, I might have still believed we were happy. But I did know. At dinner, Connor asked, so what did you want to talk about? Later, I said, eat first. He nodded and served Daisy some broccoli. Daisy ate happily, chattering about her day at preschool. Connor listened attentively, chiming in now and then. I watched them, my heart calm as still water. After dinner, Connor tucked Daisy in. I stayed in the living room clearing dishes. When I finished, I sat on the sofa and waited for him. Half an hour later, he came out. Daisy's asleep, he said. So, what's this about? I opened my phone and sent him the screenshots. He took the phone, and the color slowly drained from his face. What is this? He asked. The chat history between you and Lindsay. You, 67 transfers, $200,000. I cut him off. All from you to her. Connor went silent. Why? I asked. No need to explain. I said. I already know everything. Connor looked at me, opened his mouth, then closed it again. She told you she was single, right? I asked. He nodded. Said she needed you, right? He nodded again. I smiled. smiled. Connor, did you know Lindsay is married? He froze. Her husband's name is Zach Carter, 30, a software engineer at Silicon Valley Systems. They've been married 2 years. I spoke each word slowly, deliberately. She lied to you. Connor's face turned ashen. Impossible. Possible. I handed him the photos Wade had given me. In one, Lindsay had her arm hooked through Zach's, smiling sweetly as he kissed her forehead. Zach called her wifey in the chat logs. Connor stared at the picture, his hands shaking. You got played, I said. 200 grand. All gone to a married woman who was just using you. I didn't know. What did you know? I cut in. You knew how to betray me, how to siphon our money, how to lie and say we were broke. She got 200,000. I stood up. I got 2,000 a month. Connor, does that seem fair to you? He hung his head and said nothing. I looked at him, feeling an odd sense of calm. I want a divorce, I said. Connor lifted his eyes. Sienna, save it. I turned toward the bedroom. Think it over. The door shut behind me, and I leaned against it. The phone was still in my hand, the photos glowing on the screen. Lindsay's smile looked cruel now. I switched the phone off. April 15th, I'd marked it in my calendar. Zach's birthday. That night, Connor slept on the couch. I lay in bed, wide awake. My mind kept spinning. What next? Divorce was inevitable, but before that, Lindsay would pay. She'd conned Connor out of 200,000 and lied to her own husband. Someone like that couldn't just walk away scot-free. Daisy was asleep, her room lit only by a nightlight. I got up, went to the desk, and opened my laptop. On the desktop was a folder labeled Evidence, screenshots of chats, transfer records, photos of Lindsay and Zach. I created a new document and typed out my plan. Step 1, text Lindsay. Step 2, wait for her reaction. Step 3, lay all the cards on the table if she didn't disappear. I deliberated over the message for a long time. I couldn't say, I know about Connor, outright, too blunt. I needed to make her panic, to make her run. Finally, I typed 8 words. Happy birthday to your Connor. April 15th, Zach's birthday. I knew it. Lindsay knew it. Connor didn't. Those 8 words would tell her I knew her secret. If she was smart, she'd vanish. If not, I'd send everything to Zach. I stared at the message for a long time, then hit save, closed the laptop, and went back to bed. This time, I fell asleep quickly. The next morning, Connor was gone. He'd left a note, heading out on a business trip for a few days. Take care of Daisy. I looked at the note and smiled. Business trip, or running to Lindsay for sympathy. It didn't matter. I opened my phone and typed out the text to Lindsay's number, the one Wade had given me. Message, happy birthday to your Connor. Send. I set the phone down and went to make breakfast. Daisy patted in, rubbing her eyes. Mommy, where's Daddy? On a business trip. When's he coming back? Don't know. Oh, she didn't seem to care and trotted off to brush her teeth. I watched her, my chest tightening, but I knew this was for the best. Better 2 honest homes than 1 big, painful lie. The phone buzzed. Connor, Lindsay's not answering. Me, Connor, you think something happened? I didn't reply. A minute later, her phone switched off and her apartment is empty. Still no answer from me. I just sat on the sofa, gazing out the window. The sun was shining. A new day, a new start. 2 days later, Connor came back. He looked hollow-cheeked and unshaven. Lindsay's disappeared, he said the moment he stepped inside. Oh, I kept chopping vegetables. Her phone's off. Her place is cleared out. She's gone. Doesn't that strike you as odd? I set the knife down and turned to him. Odd how? Why would she vanish like that? Maybe her husband found out. I shrugged. He stared at me. I sent her a text. I dried my hands and walked to the living room. It said, happy birthday to your Connor. Connor's face turned chalk white. Zach's birthday is April 15th, I continued. I figure she read that and knew the game was up. So she ran. Why? Why would you do that? Why? I laughed. Connor, you handed her $200,000. She played you. Played Zach. Played everyone. You think someone like that deserves mercy? But what? I cut him off. Feeling sorry for her? He had no reply. I'm telling you, Lindsay isn't coming back, I said. She bolted because she's terrified I'll forward all the evidence to Zach. Would you really do that? No. I shook my head. I was just scaring her. Connor exhaled in relief. But, I added after a beat, if you don't sign the divorce papers, I'll send everything to her husband, post it online, and let the whole world know what you two did. Connor stared at me, his mouth half open, then closed it again. You've changed, he said. Yeah. I nodded. I have. The old me would have begged him to stay. The new me only wanted what was fair. I've already drafted the agreement. I pulled a folder from my bag. Take a look. Connor took it and leafed through the pages. This isn't fair, he muttered. Fair? I laughed. You wired Lindsay $200,000 and gave me $2,000 a month. Tell me how that's fair. He went silent. Sign it, I said. Once you do, we're both free. He stared at the papers for a long time, then picked up the pen. I didn't have a choice, he said. She threatened to kill herself. What was I supposed to do? I didn't answer. I was done listening to his excuses. When he finished signing, he set the pen down. When do we file? He asked. Tomorrow. All right. He stood and walked to the door. Connor, I called. Yeah. If you ever loved me, you'd understand, I said, throwing his own wedding vows back at him. He froze, gave a bitter smile, and left. The door clicked shut. I stayed on the couch, my phone beside me. My thumb hovered over the send button for the evidence to Zach, but I never pressed it. Lindsay had run, that was enough. Connor didn't know it yet, but his mistress was gone for good. The next morning, we went to the Santa Clara County Courthouse clerk's office. The paperwork took less than an hour. Outside, the sky was a bright, unforgiving blue. Connor stood on the steps, staring at the divorce decree, speechless. I hailed a cab. Sienna, he said as I opened the door. What? Could we ever get back together? I looked at him and smiled. No. Why not? Because you don't deserve it. I climbed into the cab. It pulled away, and I didn't look back. Connor shrank in the rearview mirror, then vanished. Where to? The driver asked. Home. You got it. The city slid past the windows. I leaned back and closed my eyes. My phone buzzed. Maya, done? Yep. How do you feel? Light. Drinks tonight at Velvet? See you there. Back home. Daisy was playing with her dolls on the carpet while the nanny, Clark, made dinner. Mommy's home. Daisy sprinted over. Hey, monkey. I scooped her up. Were you good? Super good. I laughed. Clark peeked out from the kitchen. Supper's almost ready. Mrs. Hale. Thanks, Clark. I set Daisy down and went to change. In the mirror, I looked calm. No swollen eyes. No hollow cheeks. Just free. Like I dropped a 50-pound backpack I'd been carrying for 5 years. That night, Maya and I met at Velvet, a sleek bar in the Mission District. She raised her martini. To freedom. Cheers. So what's next? Crush my KPIs. Raise Daisy. And ignore men. Not even a cute one. I shook my head. Not today. Halfway through our second round, my phone rang. Connor. I declined. He called again. I declined again. The third time, I blocked him. Maya raised an eyebrow. Still trying? Apparently. Let him rot. We drank, gossiped, and laughed until the lights came up. In the rideshare home, I watched the skyline blink. Every window held a story, and mine had finally turned the page. Daisy was asleep when I tiptoed in. I kissed her forehead, shut the door, and fell into bed. Tomorrow would be day one of my new life. The papers were signed. The past was behind me. Divorce life turned out quieter than I'd feared. No screaming, no tears, no late-night arguments. I worked. Daisy went to Sunnybrook preschool, and the calendar filled up just like before, only minus one name. My coworkers didn't know. I didn't advertise. Only Maya had the full story. You look glowy, she said over lunch one day. I feel good. Ever wonder how Connor's doing? I shrugged. Not my circus. The truth. Sometimes I did. Was he staying in some sad extended stay hotel? Had Lindsay really vanished? And where? But I never searched for answers. There was nothing left to find. On a Saturday, Daisy and I went to Riverside Park. Sun spilled across the grass like warm honey. She sprinted ahead. Mommy, faster. I spun her in the air until we both collapsed laughing. Can it always be just us? She asked. Breathless. Always. Baby. And Daddy? I paused. Daddy's busy with his own stuff. Words I'd never have to take back. Did he stop wanting us? No. I stroked her hair. Mommy and Daddy just don't fit together anymore. But we both love you more than anything. Daisy nodded, half understanding. I held her and gazed at the lake in the distance. The water sparkled, and a few ducks paddled by. Days like this were perfect. Simple. And mine. Back home. The phone rang, an unknown number. I picked up. Hello? Silence for a few seconds. Then a woman's voice. Thank you. I froze. Who is? She hung up. I stared at the screen for a long time. The voice sounded a little like Lindsay, but I couldn't be sure. It didn't matter anymore. I switched off the phone and went to the kitchen to make dinner. Daisy laughed loudly at cartoons in the living room. I watched her and smiled. My new life had already begun. 2 months later, Connor sent me a message. He'd changed his number, so I hadn't blocked it. Sienna, can we meet? I didn't answer. The next day, I need to talk to you. Still no reply. On the third day, he called. I answered. Hello, Sienna. I know I was wrong, he said. Can we get back together? No. Why? Because you don't deserve it, I said. Connor, I told you that once already. But, no buts. I cut him off. You transferred $200,000 to Lindsay and gave me $2,000 a month. I remember the math. I regret it now. Does regret pay the mortgage? Does it erase the lies? He went silent. Connor, we're divorced, I said. Go live your life, but I can't let you go. That's your problem, I said. It has nothing to do with me. Then I hung up and blocked his new number. When Maya heard, she laughed. He really won't quit. Could you ever soften? No. I shook my head. I'm not who I was. Maya gave me a thumbs up. Badass. That evening, I sat on the balcony, watching the traffic below. Red taillights and white headlights wove into a glowing river. The phone lay beside me, silent. I knew Connor might try again, but I wouldn't answer. That marriage was over. All I wanted was my new life. The one I was building for myself and Daisy. The wind picked up, cool and fresh. I stood, slid the balcony door shut, and went inside. Daisy was asleep, her door half open. I peeked in. She slept soundly, her tiny hand clutching her favorite blanket. I closed the door gently and went to my room. Lying in bed, I shut my eyes. Tomorrow would be another new day. I was ready. 1 year later, I sat in my new office, vice president of marketing at a Fortune 500 company, with a salary of $500,000. I'd earned it with late nights, hard work, and unshakable determination. The office was on the 28th floor of the Salesforce Tower in San Francisco, with floor-to-ceiling windows that overlooked the city. Sunlight poured in, warm and golden. The phone rang. I glanced at the screen. Unknown number. I hesitated, then let it ring. It rang again. Same number. I switched off the phone, stood, and walked to the window. The bay glimmered in the distance, and a few sightseeing boats drifted past. I remembered a day a year ago, under the same kind of sunny sky, standing outside the courthouse holding the divorce decree, watching Connor walk away. Now I'd truly let go. Where was Connor? I didn't know, and I didn't care. Where had Lindsay gone? It didn't matter. All that mattered was that I was thriving, work was fulfilling, Daisy was healthy and happy, and my life was full. That was enough. When I turned to leave, the phone rang again. I opened it. Just a text from the unknown number. 2 words. Thank you. I stared at the screen for a long time. Who had sent it? Lindsay. Thanking me for driving her away from Connor. Zach. Thanking me for exposing her lies. Or Connor. Thanking me for setting him free. I had no idea, and I didn't want to know. I deleted the text, switched off the phone, grabbed my bag, and left the office. The elevator doors opened, and I stepped in. In the mirror, I saw a woman who was confident, composed, and unapologetically herself. This was who I was now. A year ago, I'd been fighting to escape a broken marriage. Now, I was living my best life. The elevator reached the lobby. I walked out of the building. The sun was brilliant, warming my face. People hurried along the street, each busy with their own lives. I hailed a cab. Where to? The driver asked. Sunnybrook Preschool. Got it. The car pulled away, and I leaned back, watching the city slide by. Today, I was picking up Daisy to get her favorite cupcakes from the bakery downtown. This weekend, we'd promised to go to Six Flags Discovery Kingdom. Life just kept going. Day after day, no big drama, no heart-stopping thrills, just plain, warm, hopeful days. And that was more than enough. The cab stopped at the preschool gate. Daisy spotted me and ran over, her pigtails bouncing. Mommy. Hey, bug. I knelt and hugged her tightly. Miss me? So much. Come on, let's go get something yummy. Yay! I took her small hand, and we walked into the sunshine. Behind us, the past, all the lies, the betrayal, the pain, faded like a distant memory. Ahead of us, the future stretched out, bright and full of possibility. And me, I was ready for every single moment of it. Thanks for listening to today's story. If you liked the video, please hit like and share with friends. We look forward to seeing your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more great stories. See you next time.